It's very wonderful to see a mountain and to want to climb it and put your flag on top of it. It's very wonderful to want to create your own mountain so that you can climb it and put your flag on top of it. But it is also wonderful to know why you are doing that or why you are compelled to climb a mountain in the first place. And you might discover that everyone value mountain, but you actually love the sea and perhaps swimming is what you really should be doing. And if your calling is a mountain, and then by all means to climb and a mountain. But if you have question about the sea, you might as well run the experiment and see what happens. Life means to involve, and if you're not evolving to the small material strength build up over time to create a large strength, then you are probably dead. And that shouldn't really be a goal of anyone. Like I think every day I get up and I say, what am I? Priorities, and then I move toward that. And sometimes honestly my priorities are to see how many back-to-back experiences of whatever I'm watching on Netflix I can watch, if that's a kind of introvert Sunday that I need, you know for in order to be my best self out in the world morning. And sometimes you know how much of to-do list can I cram to the before lunch, and so I tell myself that is to-do list are the things that are in and are so insignificant compared to the things that I have already done, I have already survived or already accomplished. That is a almost laughable that a thing that can stand there on my to-do list, like they are actually mocking. And so if you can get to the point where you can say, well, I have really pushed through something incredible, I have already done something that I was able to do, didn't have the skill to do, didn't have the confidence to even try, but yes, circumstance intervened and I pursue. I have already done this thing, and yeah, there was a different context. It may be in personal context and not career context. Or in my case, it was in the theater and not in the science world, but it's already explore concept is already there. So what reason do I have to believe that it isn't not going to work again? So not thinking about it and is internal one of things, because you do get the free response to new things, because that's when trying to protect us from things that maybe dangerous that we don't know anything about, and realize that in fact it's the familiar task that I clock in a new environment. And so I think that's a lot of me to say for looking back at our success and not just producing them, but really recognizing that the new challenges in fact are relevant and have already slain. A lot of early accomplishments that I have made were because I didn't realize that I were an option, and they are actually a type method for teaching. And I also used to play Valorant, and I was taught with the Suzuki method. If you look up the Suzuki method, yeah, already leader of for 5 6 years and they are playing Valorant, because that are for beyond that routine somebody of that age should be able to do, and it's because nobody does them that they should be able to do that. And so that, well, basically my routine I would tell well, you're 11, you're gonna start going to class, and so I went to the meditation was you are supposed to get good rest, and then every time this you got minute on front of me, and then realize you could not accomplish it. So I just did. We will never really know who we would have been if we had made like one different decision, the way back in our childhood. But because of the way the brain is develop, we are much emotionally susceptible to the experience that have early on in life and that we are later in life. We all have to live in this society that's been great for us, and certain expectation that one is a contributing member of the male community, and that can be accomplished in many different ways. I think if I had a group of young people that was responsible for, I would try and listen more than maybe my parents did to what each of them want. I certainly wouldn't try to mind mention of them, because you can do that, right? But demonstration where they can find compel people to emulate and to look up, and to ask the right instruction because the worst thing in the world is to happen is with my actual question and to not know the right people have the right research to get them answer. So the your phone brain is still plastic, is still developing and is more susceptible to information in certain ways. In others, I would use stories, I would use imaginative language and humor, but there's a certain amount of finishing that happened in those last few years is the early 20s with this full element of the prefrontal cortex with the support responsible both for those our ability to think logically and to predict outcome and also maybe a little bit for us to project the negative outcome as well. Right, so optimism follow wisdom to reality. Friends are lazy because mode of nature is lazy. There has to be a sustainable reason for our energy output, because not using resources that are important for our survival. So if our brains are lazy and they follow the process, that is it for them to follow. If you have consistently trained your brain into like reframing, that's the first step. The asymmetric outcome is that the one you think about. It's hard to work very hard to think about the negative one is unless it feeling trained in some way it will go see it enough. But it as a predict machine. It's like I predict that's probably what's going to happen. It will be a positive outcome. There might be another factor, but at the industry that would be has been thinking about. The sort of factor doesn't seem in line with that's necessary for the investment of this business to good enough. Our brain is really don't like to go be bored. They are very unhappy if they are under stimulation, and then that can go to solving the problem in many different ways. Not just how can I solve the problem short term, but how can I ensure that it's not going to be a problem in the long run. Emotion was not useful for all you know. I say actively descripting that it had to build my life entirely logically. Now and the obligation like we're humans, so it's impossible. We make emotional decisions all the time, but a young fool developing brain think that that can be done, and that then you can always do the right thing, and the right thing is logical. And then as I start to learn about the brain and start to learn about myself, I realized that I didn't have a lot of experience in seeing what would happen. I just let them and most people experience with delays and delusions, but I don't know they're experiencing. It's just this emotion. They just calculate this is how I am, this is who I am, right? Don't think about it in a short way. I went to New York and I trained at the Alvin Alley School, which is a very we know school of modest days in Hamilton, and I was gonna be a dancer, but then the way shut up, crack in the facial a little bit. I wasn't fulfill, and also you don't have to explain your nature. It's just that if you don't have a mind of your own, you're simply a body, and as the say director and the for the teaching is giving you the input, and you have to give it and back for someone that really have a bachelor's degree in biochemistry wasn't really satisfied, especially when they make a comment about others. But how for the women is them that they stop worrying about whether they are fitting in whether or they're not supposed to be emulating the man or making a point of being female, and they start just taking things, taking the power, taking their place at the table as more asking for its impact of this televising. They wouldn't have to do that. They have had to take, and there are so many guys in academia, the inside every tower I say, and they still there to be broken. But I think for the much thing, we are always trying to get women in STEM now and women in coding. And so I I hope this isn't a friendship like storming the beach at nobody like we just put enough women in the children popular, and the fact that it's so leaky won't be a problem. We'll eventually get enough of them through the interject session. The start will start to build step feedback loop, and I think that for the massive, it can be very difficult to be at your best when you're constantly looking over your shoulder and wondering if being you is enough.